Hey everybody, this is Keely. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is our week 4 of Back to Nature series. I'm super excited for this class. We're going to be talking about healthy budget meals. And so I'm here live in my home and I've got some guests joining me here. So you'll probably see me at times look away because I'm talking to them too. So, but I'm glad you're here with us live on Zoom. And if you're watching the recording, we're glad you stopped by. So tonight we're talking healthy budget meals and talking about how we can create some good, easy meals that your family will actually eat. A lot of times people, that's what they're afraid of when they start to eat healthy is like, I don't think my kids are going to eat this. And I don't think I want to eat this. And so, so we're going to make this easy for you. We're going to make it very simple. And that is our goal for you tonight. So let's go ahead and go straight on. Okay, so first off, this is kind of a recap from week 3, just a little bit, but the rid and replenish. Okay, so what I mean by that is what am I going to be getting rid of in my house, and what am I going to be adding in? That is what I'm talking. Sorry, I'm having to add a couple people in. Whoops. Let me go backwards. There we are. Sorry, guys. There we go. Okay, so basically, think about those box meals. I mean, we're talking like, I'm not going to call out names, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. And things that we ate in the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. Okay, those kind of things. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not talking, my mom's here like, she's talking to me. I was like, hey, we all ate that. It's all right, you know, but the sugary cereals, the mac and cheese, all that kind of stuff, guys, it's devoid of nutrients. Okay, so ditch it. Eat as natural as possible. Avoid additives. Be a label reader. This is all back in week 3. You missed week 3, go back and please listen to how to be a good label reader. We tell you about the stuff that's in those different products and how to know what's good and what's not. But as much as you can eat as close to nature as possible, you're doing good. If it's a one-word ingredient like apples, you're doing good. Okay, that's what we're talking about. If you're concerned about picky eaters in your home, include those people in your meal preparation and when you're going to the grocery store, okay? Let them help with picking things out, picking out the different meals that you have in mind. They'll be a little bit more enthusiastic about trying it. It does make a difference. If you've got little ones at home, include them in the actual meal preparation time. Let them cut up the different ingredients. They'll have basically this kind of ownership. They're excited to try their new creation. It makes it so much better. Tonight we had soup here at my house and my little one helped cut up the celery. She volunteered. She says, I want to cut the celery. And guess what she was doing while she was cutting that celery? Popping it in her mouth and eating some. Hey, I'm okay with that. That's okay. It's a good food for her to eat. But she was eating celery and she's helped top up carrots before. And so, I mean, she's excited to try those different things because of that. Keep an attitude of gratitude. And this can go for your picky eaters. This can also go for you. Sometimes we think of, again, we're not talking about diets, okay? We're not going into that specific of like labeling things, but a lot of times we're like, oh, I've got to eat healthy. Got to eat healthy. It's just not getting any better. I got to do this. That's not gratitude, guys. Don't think of it like that. It's not going to last very long if you have an attitude like that. So be thankful to the Lord for the healthy food that he gave you and that he provided for you. Okay. And you can also include this and like, even if you like for those picky eaters, have some prayer time about I'm happy and thankful that God gave me this good food to eat. Okay. It changes things. Preparing healthy meals does not require preparation, but it does, and it doesn't have to be time consuming. Seriously. I mean, the meal I threw together tonight technically took me probably 30 minutes, a little longer than that because I was talking, but that's but that's just the way it goes. But seriously, it doesn't have to take that long. I love this quote. Autumn found this quote, and who was the person with it?
Her name is Shauna.
Shauna.
She's a little less toxic on Instagram. She has a lot of great resources on there.
Okay, so that's like her handle on Instagram was a little less toxic, okay? And she had this quote of do what you can with what you are able as it makes sense to you, okay? So when we're telling you to get rid of everything, does that mean you have to ditch it all at once? It doesn't mean that. You can just, as something empties, when you're actually done with this particular product, choose to replace it with something healthier. That's what we're talking about. And you do what you can, and with even the budget that you have. Okay. Love this quote right here from Deborah Rayburn Starkey. She's the one that we've actually been following her book, Road to Wellness, in this series. And this came directly from that book. The cost of quality ingredients and foods is always cheaper than the cost of disease. Okay. So when you hear somebody say, oh, eating healthy is too expensive, well, what are you willing to pay for later? That's what's going to happen. And Autumn and I are sitting here nodding at each other because we paid for it. Okay. That's why we're so passionate about talking about this to you guys, is that we didn't make those decisions early on in life, and all that bioaccumulation of toxins and different things that we had consumed started wreaking havoc on our bodies. And our bodies were like crying out for help. Okay. And we're telling you this so that you don't have to go through that. Okay. We kind of were thrust into the healthy diet mode. We kind of went kicking and screaming at first, but once we started changing up our diet, we saw such huge improvement in our health that we stuck with it, and we felt so much better. What were you telling me today about sugars? What was it about?
Oh, it's gotten to the point where anytime I have any refined sugar, I do not feel good, and I don't really want it.
That's
Even
it.
if I am craving it in the beginning, once I eat it, I'm like, I'm good.
Right. Could y'all hear her? Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear her. For those of you, or even just type in the comments. I've got my microphone where I believe you could have heard her. But basically, refined sugars, if we've been away from it for so long, it makes a difference. Once we start to eat it, it's like, oh, I feel disgusting now that I've eaten this. Why do I subject myself to this anymore? So it helps remind us that this really is helping our lifestyle. All right, moving on. Foods. Okay. So basically, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go through this. Guys, this may be so basic to you, and it may be eye-opening to you. I don't know where you are in your wellness journey, but let's talk about your sources. Okay. Your source for food. Number one, the best source for your food should be fresh. I've heard it said before, shop the outside of the grocery store. Okay. What's on the outside of the grocery store? Produce, fresh meats, fresh dairy products, frozen foods, right? You got it. Okay. So shop the outside of your grocery store. That's where you're going to find your fresh ingredients. Fresh is the highest frequency of your foods, which also just in a nutshell means it's better for you. You're going to feel better when you eat it. Okay. So what are you looking for fresh? Look for non-genetically modified ingredients, non-GMO, organic. If you can afford it and if you can find it, go for organic. No added hormones, free range, and grass-fed. Okay, those labels aren't going to apply to every single food you're looking at, but those are some of your keywords to look for. Okay, you can also go to localharvest.org. They list farms there, food co-ops, locally sourced foods. Okay, so if you're trying, and I encourage you to shop locally. That means if you didn't have to travel from Timbuktu to come to you to eat an apple, if you could get it from a local a farmer. Okay, it makes a difference. It probably was picked more ripe. That means it's got more nutrients for you. The Dirty Dozen list. Some of you might have heard of this. This is on the Environmental Working Group. You can go to the website and find the Dirty Dozen. And there's the Clean 15. Isn't that right? Yeah, the Clean 15. And so what that means is which are the dirtiest or basically more pesticide laden foods out there. So you're looking for fresh food. So to give you an example, strawberries are high on the Dirty Dozen list. Okay, strawberries they will absorb more pesticides. So it is much better for you to look for an organic strawberry. Okay. I'm trying to think. Can you think of one that's on the Clean 15?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's fine.
Peaches are the dirtiest.
Oh, peaches are the dirtiest. Yeah, they are.
If I remember correctly, cauliflower, I believe, is on the Clean 15.
Okay, there you go. Cauliflower is on the Clean 15. So in other words, if you're having to be picky about what am I choosing organically, you could probably choose a conventional cauliflower and be okay. All right. And I like to buy my cauliflower a lot of times riced in the frozen foods, and I can cook it anything that way.
Avocados, I believe, are also clean.
Okay, avocados are only clean 15. So this helps you with your budget, guys, knowing what should I buy and spend the money on for organic, and what could I kind of skimp on and get conventional with. Okay, so look for that list yourself. I think there was a comment a minute ago. If you'll just check.
Yes,
Okay.
Abby said we get here first.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Abby. So, all right, also go directly to the farmer, the rancher, or the dairyman. Yes, you can go directly to them. Cut out the middleman. They love it when you come to them. I guarantee it. Okay, you could buy raw dairy. You can go to most dairies, and this does vary depending on what state you are in. Okay, there's different laws and regulations on that. If you want to find more information on that, go to westonprice.org is an excellent resource for finding raw dairy sources and the laws and even the safety. If you're concerned about eating raw dairy, go check out Weston Price. He will tell you all about it there. Okay. But also you can buy in bulk sometimes from the farmer. Buy bulk in free range chickens or their eggs. And you can also go to the rancher and get grass-fed beef. You could buy a whole cow. Seriously, guys, you could buy a whole steer. You could buy half a steer. You can buy a quarter of a steer. You can go in with a friend and say, hey, I can't afford a whole cow. You want to split one with me? We can do this. And that way you've got a ton of source, and you can tell them what you want as steaks and what you want as ground meat. I mean, it's awesome that you can go and have those options. Okay. This was a great tip that Abby told us about last week. She said, check with your local meat processors. Many times hunters forget to pick up their wild game. I have never thought of that. Our family are not really big hunters, but I love venison. I mean, it's an awesome source. So be nice. And we're coming up on hunting season to go check and see if there's just some extra left over at the meat locker. Yeah.
I never thought of that.
I know. It's a great tip. Thank you. Thank you, Abby, for that. Yeah, you'd think if you went through that much trouble to get it, but sometimes it happens. Number 2, what's your next best option? Frozen or freeze dried? We kind of mentioned that when we're talking about shopping the outside of the store, okay? When something is frozen or freeze dried, it still contains a very high amount of nutrients, okay? So that's your second best option. Third best option, dried, okay? And that's actually a very affordable option. You think about your bulk beans, some of your grains like rice, it's much cheaper to buy it that way, and it's actually healthier. If you're just buying a can of beans, guys, there's hardly any nutrition left in a can of beans, sad to say.
And they're cooked in the can most of the time.
Oh, I didn't know that. They're cooked in the can. Oh, that's great.
Pretty much any canned
It's cooked.
vegetable. I mean, if you think about it from a manufacturer point of view, it makes
Absolutely
sense.
it does.
But from a consumer point of view, if you're concerned about that.
Wow. Do you hear that? It's cooked in the can. Okay. And that could explain also why, and that just kind of goes in straight into the canned. Okay. Canned is the last choice, guys. Canned has zero frequency. Okay. Zero frequency. That means it's really not giving you anything. It might be taking away from you. Okay. When you consume it. But you think about those aluminum cans. Go back to some of our weeks before and we talked about how aluminum toxicity. Okay. If it's cooked in that can and that aluminum, where is it going? Into the plant. It's going into that source. Okay.
Especially considering things that are very acidic, like tomatoes.
Yes, for sure. Tomatoes would be really bad for that. Okay. And there's a lot of cans that say non-BPA lined. I mean, if you are going to buy a canned good, go for that option. If it says non-BPA lined, but again,
But then it has BPB and all kinds of
right.
stuff in it,
It's just best to avoid canned at all possible. If you're BPA is the chemical, or BPB. There's lots of chemicals that was in last week in label reading. You can go back and hear those different chemicals and what's lined in cans and stuff. But look for a glass option. Okay, if you're going to buy something canned, and this also, if you're going to can your produce, you put it in a mason jar, you put it in glass. That's much safer for you. Okay, it's going to hold a little bit more nutrition that way. Let's talk pantry staples. Okay, so let's talk about what belongs in your pantry. Again, we're trying to clean up our act, right? Okay, so let's start with fats. Let's go old school here. Stick with your old school fats. Lard, butter, olive, coconut, or avocado oils. Those are healthy. Now, I know some of you may be looking at me funny, like, are you telling me I should be eating fat? I am. I get it. A lot of times back in, I think in the 80s and the 90s, there was a push for low fat or no fat. Okay. That was the diet of the day. That's what everybody was doing. Okay. If you're still kind of stuck in that mode, I'm going to challenge you to think past that. Okay. Fats help your body absorb nutrients. They also feed your brain. Okay. Your brain thrives on fat. It's pretty much made of fat. It's fat and water, pretty much. Okay. So feed yourself healthy sources of fat. So if you're getting lard, make sure it's lard from some of those grass-fed meats that you got. Okay. Something like that. Make sure you know the source of it. Butter, get grass-fed butter. Guys, that again, go check out Weston Price on grass-fed butter. There is some amazing things. There's something called Factor X that he found that's in only grass-fed butter and fish oils. So go check that out. That's a really interesting study. Again, the glass jars versus aluminum cans. If in your pantry, make sure you've got glass jarred items. Dried fruit, beans, legumes, rice, quinoa, or steel cut oats. Okay, these are going to be healthier options for you right there. Steel cut oats are much healthier for you than your extremely processed quick oats and things like that. Yes, I actually have some quick oats in my pantry right now. I'm sitting here thinking about it and feeling like a hypocrite. But I do have some steel cut oats in there as well. The thing is, with steel cut oats and a lot of your grains, you need to soak them. And it takes a little bit more time, but guys, the nutrition value in there is amazing. It's very good for you. Organic herbal teas. Okay, so if you're going to drink tea, herbal teas have a lot of value too. There's a lot of good, I think it's, not phenylpropanoids. What is it called? Something like that. You remember the name of it? No, I can't remember it. Anyways, it's a long keyword. Never mind. I'll find it later. It's very good for you. Take my word for it. But herbal teas are especially good for you. Flour. Okay, so whatever flour you're using, make sure it's less refined. Think less white. The less white that it is, I mean, most of the time your flours that are white are actually bleached. Okay. Yeah, you're eating bleached flour. Whole sourcing. So just think, I mean, if you can even crack the flour and make it yourself and grind your own wheat or whatever, that's even better right there. You're going to get more nutrition out of it. If you are gluten sensitive, there's some good options out there. Einkorn wheat is known now as the original heritage wheat. It has not been messed with. It's not been genetically modified. It only has 14 chromosomes in it. And that basically means that our bodies can digest it a lot easier. I listed this as gluten sensitive options because guys, if you are a celiac and you need true gluten-free, you're going to have to be a little more careful about some of these. Definitely research these, okay? Because sometimes even oats themselves are gluten-free, but they can be cross-contaminated. So if you're celiac, you have to be careful about your oats. Rice is good, but if you can find a good non-genetically modified, rice is often genetically modified. Sorghum is a naturally gluten-free, it's kind of like a wheat, I believe. Yeah, it is. It's a grain. And then farro. Farro is kind of like iffy in a sense of what it's known by lots of different names. Farro is like a common name, but you might see it labeled as immer, spelt, or kamut. Okay, those are all kind of in the farro category. Einkorn is as well, but einkorn is your purest source. If you can find einkorn, that's it right there. Okay, nut flours. If you are more, let's say you like keto eating or paleo eating, you're avoiding a whole lot of carbs, nut flours are also a good option, including coconut flour. All right, pantry staples, continued. Sweeteners, okay? Some of us are doing our best to avoid sugar. More power to you. That's okay if you want to avoid sugar. My thought on the matter is avoid refined sugar, okay? If God put some sugar in an apple, I believe it's okay to eat. Do I believe I should eat apples all the live long day and not eat anything else? No. Okay. So you're getting the idea. You know, it's okay to eat certain sources, but we're all in different health states. So you make your own decision on the sweeteners, but I'm giving you some whole food sources right here. Less or no processing is best. So look at honey, look at maple syrup and molasses. These are excellent. Again, this is going back to the old school again. This is what our grandmas and our great grandmothers cooked with. Okay. And I'm trying, there's another one. It's not,
I actually saw beet sugar at the health food store today,
Oh,
and that's pretty rare to find.
wow. Mom
Beet
mentioned beet
true
sugar.
beets, you know,
Yeah.
organic, non-GMO sugar beets.
There's
I
a,
didn't even think that that's still
I didn't
Because
either.
cane is, you know, kind of replace beet.
Right.
I guess
cane.
it's easier to grow. I
Mhm.
don't know.
There's another one I forgot to put on here. Is it, well, I mean, there's cane. I'm thinking of what like grandpa's used to, I don't know if Daniel's still in here. It's not, is it sorghum? Is sorghum?
No,
separate?
sorghum is a grain for animals.
Okay.
It's a grain.
I thought it was sorghum was also a sweetener.
Sorghum, well, you can make molasses. Sorghum
Oh,
molasses.
that's what I'm getting it from. Okay, yeah, sorry guys. But anyways, yeah, just go back 100 years and look at what did they use as sweeteners, and go back even further than 100 years. Go back 200 years or further. You're going to find better sources of sweeteners.
and then a lot less than what we had. even at that.
Exactly. Oh, they did not. The amount of sugar that we consume on a yearly basis today is
So it's like
unreal.
40 or 50
Yeah.
pounds per person.
Yes,
There used to be
40
like
to 50
5 pounds a
And we
year.
wonder why
Or less.
chronic illnesses.
Right. I don't know if y'all could hear
Constantly.
that. 40 to 50 pounds a year per person is about the average for standard American. It's somewhere
Sugar is
around
in
there.
all
Yeah,
processed
it's
foods.
in all processed foods for sure. So yeah, be conservative on your use of sweeteners, okay? So dates and coconut sugar, that's another good option. I mean, that was what, especially dates, like I think Middle East, that's what they would have been using. Honey and dates is what they used to sweeten with, okay? Dates are awesome, guys. You blend up dates with some stuff, you can get some really tasty desserts with that. It's delicious. Yakan, monk fruit, and stevia. Okay, yakan is from a tuber plant. It's a root. It grows in South America. Monk fruit is, I believe, a fruit on a tree that I don't remember exactly what it is, but I know it's a plant. And then stevia is an herb. Okay, so all of these are natural whole sources right here. But these three right here are on the 0 glycemic scale. So if you are avoiding sugar, if you have blood sugar issues, this is an awesome option for you. Yakan actually has some very therapeutic properties for you to help stabilize your blood sugar. So if you're on the road to wellness in that way, yes, it contains prebiotics of FOS, okay? And so that actually helps your gut health, helps your blood sugar. It's an awesome little product. It tastes about like a dark molasses is what it is. To me, I've used it before, but I like to bake with it.
Oh, it's for baking.
Yeah, I wouldn't,
I use it on your.
it's not great like to sweeten your tea with or something like that. It's a little too dark of a taste. The monk fruit and stevia are great for like maybe if you like sweet tea or something like that. They're excellent for that. Young Living Vitality Drops. This is a relatively new product from Young Living. I love these things. You see them pictured on the screen right there. I've got the grapefruit bergamot Vitality Drops, and then there's also, I think, yes, there's lavender lemonade, and then I've got listed here on the side jade lemon berry. So there's two different types. There's one that has electrolytes, and there's one, thank you, there's one that has some added caffeine in it, and it's from natural sources. All of this is stevia sweetened, okay? So I like to carry these. You can see I've got one, my sweet daughter brought, you can see one kind of here in the picture, but they're small. I carry a couple in my purse. And so that way, if we are eating out, we will order water. And if the girls are like, I really wanted this or that, I'm like, oh, guess what? I have some Vitality Drops. So now you can have something tasty and just add it to your water, or you could add it to like even unsweetened tea. It's a nice treat. What?
I use it to, yes.
Mom says it's good on oatmeal.
The
this one?
Well,
The
weird,
grapefruit?
the grapefruit wine because of the sweetener. And I like it with blueberries.
Interesting. Oh man.
My
So
mind is
she,
blown.
yeah. Okay. So
I know
mom
what I'm
says
having for breakfast tomorrow.
right. So mom says she uses this one, the grapefruit bergamot, on her oatmeal, but she also, don't you like put frozen blueberries in it or just add blueberries to it?
Well, I thought of blueberries.
So a nice sweet, yeah, but she says it tastes really good in your oatmeal.
Yeah.
There you go. It's very, very little sugar content by doing it that way.
Right.
Yes, awesome. Guys, avoid all artificial sweeteners. I could spend a class talking about this. I'm not gonna go there for very much, but guys, it's better for you to do without, or it's better for you to just take real sugar than to take an artificial sweetener. The havoc that it wreaks on your body So when you're drinking your diet soda thinking you're doing yourself a favor, you are not. Okay? Go look up aspartame. Go look up the side effects of aspartame. Go look up the side effects of Splenda. Go look up those things. Okay? It's actually could be part of the things that's hurting you on your road to wellness. Okay? So eliminate it. Leavening. Baking soda and baking powder. Okay, those are perfectly okay if you get aluminum-free versions. Okay, baking powder is notorious for having aluminum in it. Okay, a good brand I have listed up here is Bob's Red Meal. That's a great brand that I've actually used even some of their gluten-free flours as well. And it's cheaper. It's only like I think it's a bag. It's a small bag size.
Like a
I think it's about 2 cups worth maybe.
probably,
Yeah.
probably maybe even a little bit more. But
Yeah, I'd say it's about 2 cups worth of it, and it's about $3 a bag. It's worth it. And if you're not doing a whole lot of baking, you're not gonna go through it quick. But they also sell baking soda. So baking soda is not always contaminated by aluminum, but just double check, be sure on it. Yeast. For certain diets, you might want to avoid yeast, depending on where you are on your health journey. If you have candida overgrowth, having issues with that, you do want to avoid yeast. Okay. But there's also an option of trying sourdough starter. Tonight, Autumn brought a sourdough gluten-free bread that she made, and it was so good, guys. I loved it. But that is a way you're basically harvesting wild yeast in the air to do that. And why don't you tell them a little bit about how it reduces? I mean, you tell me about that.
Real quick. So Abby asked, how do you know it has aluminum? Is it listed on the label or is it?
Yes, it is listed on the label.
I didn't know that, so I need to ask you.
It does. It's a lot of times it is listed on the label, Abby. But here's the thing: if you find a bag and it says aluminum free, there you go. Most of them are proud to let you know they're aluminum free.
Right. And Michael just said he signed up a customer just off the Vitality Drops themselves.
Whoa, that's amazing! Very good, Brent. Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
All right, I'll tell about the.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So a lot of people who are sensitive to gluten typically do pretty well. From what I hear, I haven't tried it myself, but they typically do pretty well with traditional sourdough because when you do a sourdough, it breaks down a lot of the gluten to help you digest a little bit more. Now, of course, that's not going to work for celiac like we talked about previously, but from what I understand, a lot of people who are sensitive to just regular old bread do well when they make a true sourdough. So I have actually just started, a week ago. I'm going to attempt with some unbleached organic wheat flour, some regular old sourdough. My starter is doing really well. So hopefully I'll have that pretty soon. I can see for myself whether it bothers me. But anyway, it's something to look into. Because even if you're sensitive to regular bread, you might not be sensitive to sourdough because it breaks down some of the gluten. So something to be aware of.
That to me, it makes me wonder if it's almost like it's slightly fermented. You think that's kind of what it's happening? Yeah, I mean, it's fermentation, and fermentation supports your gut health. Okay, so most of the time it actually helps you. So I didn't know that until she told me about the sourdough breaking it down, but it makes sense. I've always been able to tolerate sourdough a lot easier.
It's like pre-digested.
Yeah, it's pre-digested.
Well, I mean, helps the digestive
That's exactly
process.
right.
Yeah,
Yes.
Pre-digested.
That's right. That's right. All right. So let's move on along. Let's go into spices and seasonings. Okay, so salt. Salt is so important for your health. This also kind of goes against the grain for those of you who were in dieting fads back in the 80s and 90s. They said no salt. You might have even had a healthcare practitioner tell you you need to be on a no salt diet. Again, I'm not a healthcare practitioner. I don't know your history, so I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do, but I do encourage you to research. Okay, salt is a critical element to our bodies. But the thing is there's some good salt and there's bad salt. Okay, that's the thing. The bad salt is detrimental to your health. That's going to be your table salt, your white bleached table salt. Okay, when they do that, they're taking out the nutrients. Okay, they're taking out all the minerals that are in there that actually are good for you when it's bleached. It may look pretty, but no, And actually, I think other stuff looks prettier. So what's a good kind? Himalayan pink or real salt, like Redmond's real salt. That comes from the Salt Lake. The Himalayan pink, I guess, comes from the Himalayas. But it's mined and it has a pink hue to it. It's got lots of colors in it. Sometimes you'll see a little bit of red in it and all this different kind of colors, but that's the minerals. Okay, that's very good for you. I can't remember the source that I heard this from, but I learned it many years ago. Go check me out on it. But my understanding is Himalayan pink salt or Redmond's real is very good for meat eaters. So if you choose to eat meat, that would be a salt more beneficial to you. If you are a vegetarian, Celtic sea salt, which looks a little different, it's more gray in hue, that's going to be a better salt for you. Now, could you benefit from both? Absolutely. Those are good options. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Kosher salt. Depends on where your kosher salt is.
Kosher salt means it's iodine free, doesn't it? I think it's iodine free. They don't add the iodine back in. Kosher salt is like pickling salt, right? Or it's no, you don't know.
I'm not familiar enough.
Right, because it's been blessed by you.
Right. So Dolores was asking about kosher salt. I'm not so sure about it. I really think that kosher's probably, it's been refined. So my guess is that it might not be that bad, but it's not going to probably be as healthy for you. There's lots of different kinds of salt out there. There really is. But looking for pink, Redmond's real, or Celtic sea salt, you're doing pretty good. Okay. Oh, Avonlee's brought some. Do you want me to show them? Avonlee has in her hand. This child will just come and eat. Come and eat. There's her salt. I don't know if y'all can see it. I'll get closer. There we go. And you can see all the little flakes. There's little black pieces and little red pieces, and it's just colorful. But that's like her favorite. There you are. Hello. But she will come, and I mean, I've seen her at times just come and get some salt in her hand, just lick it and eat it. Yes, she is, and I don't stop her. I mean, it's maybe she needs some extra minerals right then. Now, she's not sitting there guzzling it, guys. That's different. Okay. Look for organic spices. So going on to other seasonings, look for organic versions. Be sure there's no MSG. If you see monosodium glutamate listed, that's what it stands for, monosodium glutamate. Again, we talked about that last week. Don't buy it. It's a neurotoxin. Okay. There's actually a lot of other different types of different no ingredients. Again, refer back to week 3 to find out what those are. Beware of bouillons and mixes. Okay. Yeah, like your ranch mix. Okay, guys, your ranch mix. I'm just talking to Southern people here now.
Seasoning.
Taco
all kinds of
seasoning.
stuff. And
Yes.
it's not hard to make your own as long as you have all the spices right
That's
there.
right. It's easy to make your own. You just got to have the spices that are in there. You can do it. I've made my own poultry seasoning before in a pinch because I didn't have any. It wasn't hard to do. There is some good versions of bouillon out there that are made with like the real kinds of salt, and there's no added chemicals. They just basically have concentrated vegetables in them. Those are excellent. I actually used one of them. It was called Rapunzel bouillon. You can purchase it on I believe it's actually from Germany, but you can purchase it from Amazon. That's what I was trying to think of the name. Hey, Avonlea, would you go grab the bouillon up in there? You don't know what it is. That's okay. Or actually, I bet.
I can figure
Yes,
it out.
yeah. Pour the spice on it. She's gonna go grab it real quick. It has recently changed names, but if you Google Rapunzel bouillon, you should be able to pull up the correct one. If you just message me if you want help finding that. Thank you. There it is, Rapunzel, and this is vegetable bouillon. Tastes awesome. So the ingredients are palm oil, not hydrolyzed, just regular palm oil, yeast extract, rice flour, carrots, onions, celery, parsley, sea salt, turmeric, mace, and it's all organic, all of it. It's delicious. This is my secret recipe, our secret ingredient in some of my soups that people are like, your soup, I can't ever get my soup to taste like your soup. And I'm like, oh, well, here it is. So this is the key. It tastes delicious. It works great you can take it over there to them. It tastes great for beef or chicken. It doesn't matter, but I like just having a good vegetable bouillon for a few soups and stuff. Most of the time I just season it myself.
Ansley said yeast extract is the same as MSG. Yes.
Well, okay.
MSG has about 25 to 30 different things, and it is a horrible chemical. It's an cytotoxin, it damages the brain. It
Mhm.
is so bad. If
Yeah,
I
it's
eat
added into
MSG
every.
If I eat
Yeah.
MSG in 15 minutes, I have a headache. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm very
Yeah,
sensitive.
MSG, Mom was just saying that MSG has so many different names. I had forgotten about that. I'm not sure if I knew that, Ansley, so
No,
thank
they cover
you.
it up. You don't even
Yeah,
know
oh,
you're
they do. Well, they knew if I put MSG on something healthy, people would be tossing it.
Yeah, a
so.
lot of times
Yeah.
it'll be in health.
Oh.
It'll be in health foods.
It can be
So-
listed as spices.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
that's right, guys. Did you hear that? That's right. The spices, I mean, so if you see something that just says spices,
Spices, that people
Yeah.
exactly these spices.
because they say that's like a trade secret, so they can keep that underneath. It's the same thing as like when they say fragrance on something. They don't have to tell you what that fragrance is. They don't have to tell you what that spice is. So let's just go back. Just forget I said anything about Rapunzel bouillon. Just delete that.
It probably is a better option.
It could see, it should have said nutritional yeast or something like that. It might have actually, but anyways, I will be researching. I'm gonna go to that company. I'm gonna find out there's something, a better option. Anyways, but the best thing is to do is start replenishing your spice cabinet with the real stuff. Start working on it. I also have on here Vitality Essential Oils. Okay, Vitality is kind of like a trademark branding by Young Living. It's basically a weight that these are labeled for supplement use. You can see kind of on the screen, it says Pure Essential Oil Supplement. It's a supplement or a seasoning. Okay, so this is rosemary Vitality that I have featured on the screen. Okay, all of our oils are non-genetically modified, project verified, all of them. Okay, but know that with the Vitality oils, because these are the ones you can consume. These are the ones labeled to be consumed. Pure, unadulterated, they're potent. Labeled for ingestion and use as supplements. But look at this, the cost effectiveness of a bottle of rosemary. Okay, so here's a comparison. Dried organic rosemary leaf, just from a brand I won't name, but it's a good, high quality organic brand out there. It's $4.69 for the whole bottle, okay? And which is approximately 7 tablespoons worth when you measure it all out. So that roughly equals 67 cents per tablespoon of dried rosemary. But with Young Living Vitality oil, okay, that bottle right there costs you $8, and you've got about 90 to 100 drops in there. It takes 4 drops of rosemary to equal a tablespoon. So there's your comparison, okay? And that amount is 32 cents per tablespoon, okay? That's half the cost right there. Okay, that's a 50% savings, and you could get probably, I mean, you could probably get 25 dishes or more depending on how much rosemary you're using out of one little bottle of rosemary oil. Okay, and it's not going to go bad. Sometimes your spices eventually will just, I mean, if you don't use them often enough, they lose their potency. And the oil, if you're keeping that cap on, you're good. Okay, and it's going to taste more like a fresh rosemary leaf. A lot of times you're buying fresh herbs, if you don't use them quickly, they go bad and they're pricey, really pricey for just a few branches of rosemary. So just look into that as a possible option. Let's look at your refrigerator. I'm going to kind of speed it up. Refrigerator. Okay, fresh greens. What should be in your refrigerator? Fresh greens, seasonal vegetables and fruits, raw dairy products, almond, coconut, or oat milk, especially for those of you who are vegetarians or vegans, organic condiments, fermented foods, and nitrate-free, hormone-free proteins. Okay, your pick on those. What's in your freezer? Frozen chicken and beef bone broth. Okay, we're going to show you in just a minute. We're going to show you a quick demo. I've actually got everything prepared and ready to go, so it won't take long. I'm going to show you how to make your own. Okay, frozen organic vegetables and fruits. 2 to 3 healthy frozen entrees, soups, or stews. Okay, that's the real fast food right there. And when I mean that, I'm also saying take your own home cooking, what you've made, double it up, and freeze the leftovers. Okay, you've got your own home cooking ready to go to thaw out, and you've got a meal ready. Okay, grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, other protein or wild game can be in your freezer. Also, homemade breakfast meals. Don't just go and buy a canned thing of biscuits anymore. You don't do that, guys. Make your own biscuits and you can freeze them. They work just as good. There's some pretty popular freezer brand ready biscuits, well, make up your own biscuits. What I do, I make up my own biscuit dough, cut them out. I'll cook a couple for the family, and I put the rest of them in the freezer to go. And what I have to do is put them, I don't have to thaw them out, put them on the baking sheet, ready to go. Okay. Muffins, waffles, quiche, casseroles, whatever you want. Homemade dough. So like I'm saying, like, in the case of biscuits, okay, but also like pizza crust. A lot of time I make a really good gluten-free pizza crust that is delicious, and it beats out most any pizza crust I've had before. I love it so much. And I don't even have to let it rise. I make it up and it's ready to go. But it does take a little bit of time of the kneading and rolling it out and getting it just right. So I double up and I keep a frozen pizza crust ready to go when the pizza craving hits, or the family says, we want pizza, here we go. Instead of going and buying out, I've got a healthier option. That same biscuit dough that I make doubles as dumplings. It makes amazing dumplings, and I'll just cut them up smaller and they'll be ready to go. Healthy snacks or desserts ready for guests or just special occasions. You can have protein balls, fat bombs, smoothie popsicles. Take your smoothie. If you don't actually make the rest of it, pour it in a mold and you've got a popsicle ready, okay? Homemade cookies. I mean, if you're wanting to eat some cookies or something like that, or maybe a special cake or something, make it up and have it in your freezer, so you'll be less tempted to buy it at the store.
And I do that a lot.
Yes.
But I'm not near as tempted as if it were thawed on the counter.
Absolutely. If it's in the freezer, I make,
If it's in the freezer, I'm like, okay, if I really want this, it's going to take it a few minutes to defrost in the toaster oven. And then by that point, I probably forgot that I wanted anything anyway.
And a lot of times, well, and I'm more likely just to make one cookie rather than having the whole big batch and just eating like constantly. A lot more restraint. It helps a lot. The not freezer friendly. Okay, I just put a couple of things on here. If you're making meals that's not going to do very well in your freezer, milk or cream separates and kind of curdles if you put it in the freezer. Potatoes tend to turn to mush. Pasta turns to mush. And salad and lettuce don't even, it's not going to do anything for you there. Okay. So don't add those options. Like if you're cooking a stew or something like that, instead of adding any pasta to it, add that like later when you reheat it up, if that's what your choice is. Okay.
Can I give a freezer tip?
Yeah.
I take a cookie sheet pan and freeze my spinach. So that the whole box does it, I freeze it one layer. And then drop it into give it 1 hour in the freezer, and drop it into a Ziploc bag, and I can pull out just what I want for an omelet or for a smoothie.
Yes.
Especially for a smoothie.
I just throw it in a Ziploc chaotically, and then it freezes, and you can just kind of crunches up. So
Yep.
So they do kale that way.
Oh
yeah,
kale, it's those have a little more structure to it. I think it would hold up. Lettuce is the one that's just like a no way.
No.
Yeah, but
And that doesn't really have much nutritional
no.
value.
No, it doesn't.
You don't want to throw lettuce in your smoothie.
That's right. Depending on what you're using it for. Using it for a smoothie or soup, you're good. You'll be all right. Yes, exactly. One dish wonders. Okay, so here's getting into some of those just healthy main dish meals. Okay, just some ideas to get y'all going. Crock pot roast, beans, soups. Okay, use that crock pot. It's wonderful. It's a fantastic source. Roast can become shredded beef for stews, sandwiches, tacos, or casseroles. You double up and add that in, you've got some shredded beef ready to go to make something else later on. Pressure cooker, use that like your Instapot. Use that for a whole chicken. You can also use it for soups and stews, and a fraction of the time of even the crock pot. Okay, I haven't perfected a roast in an Instapot. It seems to get a little too tough. It needs to slow simmer to really to be very tender. Okay. I would also say that for venison or any of those other kind of meats, I think they would have to be in a crock pot. So a whole chicken becomes meat for stews, casseroles, salads, tacos, toppings. You can, think baked potatoes, even stuff like that, guys. It's unlimited. Okay. Then you also take the bones and the fat from that chicken and you use it to make homemade bone broth. So that's one of those just one-stop shop when you're cooking a whole chicken. That's always happening in my house almost weekly. I've got a whole chicken.
It ends up being a lot cheaper too.
It is to buy a whole chicken versus getting boneless, skinless breast or thighs.
So much better.
It
Oh,
does.
yeah. I mean,
Boxed
I probably
broth.
got like a.
Mhm.
I did that this weekend. I got a chicken from Aldi,
Mhm.
and I think it was like $9.50 or something for the chicken. But that is multiple meals.
Oh yeah.
And then I probably got like a gallon or more of bone broth out of that.
Absolutely.
And then if you think about buying bone broth in a quart at the store,
Right.
it's just it's way more economical.
Oh, absolutely. For sure. And
Mm-hmm.
it, well, and just the whole chicken, the meat tastes delicious off a whole chicken. Okay. Again, double up, freeze it for an extra meal. Continuing on with one dish wonders, cast iron skillet meals. Okay. Replace those box pasta meals. You can kind of duplicate that. You can even substitute with a gluten-free pasta in there, or you could even use something like cauliflower instead of pasta. Okay. You can easily duplicate those things that your family loves and make it. You can make that cheesy mac, whatever it's called, and put it in there, like cheeseburger, whatever. That's what I'm thinking of. You can easily make that. Yes. Prepared on the stove. You can also finish in the oven. I love cast iron. It's a wonderful product. One pan oven meals. This is a no-brainer, guys. You need a protein, some veggies, a fat, and sprinkle on some salt and pepper and seasonings, and you're done. Throw it in the oven and roast it until it's done. It's very good. When your meat is and the veggies are all cooking with that fat and just simmer together, everything tastes so good. Your kids will eat some of those veggies that they might not normally eat because of the flavor being infused all in there. It's so easy. Just throw it on a pan and do it. Casseroles are also a great option. You can also chop in lots of veggies into casseroles and hide it from yourself or from your kids. And they're more likely to, oh, this is so delicious. Well, yeah, it is. I had all kinds of stuff in there. Okay, but here's the thing with casseroles. You can line the dish with parchment paper, okay, and then pour in your casserole. Cool it off after it's done baking, and then you can freeze it. So freeze it in the casserole dish, take it out once it's solid, remove the contents, okay, from the wrap, take it out, and you've got a solid block of casserole. Wrap it up, and you've got a casserole to keep in the freezer, but you've got your pan back. That's the key. You've got your pan back. And so whenever you're ready to eat that casserole, you've got a nice block that fits perfectly in your pan, okay?
Yeah.
And just throw it in the oven, reheat it slowly. You're good. Meal planning. Think about meal planning, guys. This is really part of the key of healthier eating. Is it does take a little bit of thought and effort to eat healthy. It's easy to just go to the store and grab a box off the shelf. I get it. I've done it too. Okay. But once a week, plan out your meals. It makes a big difference. It helps you also shop more frugally. Look for sales and specials in the local store. Plan your meals around them to save. Okay. So if you've got pot roast on sale that week, hey, that's on the menu. Okay. Shop in bulk stores. So think like Sam's and Costco's. Okay. That's an excellent way to save money. And plan before you go shopping. Wow. I don't know how many times that I've gone shopping and I was like, oh, I don't know what. I was like, that looks good. We always need broccoli. We always need this. And I'll get home and I'm like, guess what? I've already got 3 other packages of broccoli. Okay. So plan. Just, it's pretty simple. Plan ahead for extra preparation. This will help you make your meals a lot faster, but also help you also make better decisions when you're eating. Soak your grains, your lentils, that's your beans too, and nuts. If you soak them, and just look that up, Google it on soaking any of those different products, it will improve your digestion greatly. Okay, you may be like, oh, I can't eat beans, Keely. Well, guess what? Try soaking them. You might can eat them now. Okay, it makes a big difference. Cooking the whole chicken. I can't talk about that enough. It just helps a lot. Soak and cook your beans or rice for the whole week. If you have that ahead of time, think if that's a really easy filler. You can actually just throw it on a salad, make like a Mexican bowl or something to have a few of those things. I mean, it's easy lunch too, right
I
there.
stuff on my oatmeal so that I can have it cooked the next day. And
Double
I just
oatmeal?
add coconut water. Coconut water
Oh.
sweetened and
Yes.
electrolyzes it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you have a tip?
Yeah.
What's your tip? We have a 7-year-old tip. Go ahead.
You can take the almond and put it on the water and then it will be so.
That's correct. She's saying we could soak our almonds, and a lot of times I'll soak our almonds with salt in the water. They soak it up, and then you dry them, dehydrate them in the oven real slow. Oh man, guys, they taste amazing. They're very good. Good tip, Avonlea. Thank you. Chop up your veggies for easy snacking and meal prep. If you've got your bell pepper cut up, you're more likely to eat it. If you got your carrot peeled and ready, you're more likely to eat it. It just is. Okay. Organic fruits for easy snacking. I leave fruits out on the counter. My girls know they can just come and grab it and eat. They don't even have to ask permission. If it's in between meals and they come and say, I'm hungry, I'm like, well, go see what's available in the snacks, okay? Kitchen tools, real quickly. All right, pots and pans. Well, that's kind of obvious, but here's the thing, guys. Might not be so obvious. Do not use nonstick pans. Nonstick pans contain so many chemicals in them, guys, that it's been traced back to brain health problems, immune function, you name it. A lot of health problems stem from nonstick cookware. Okay. I know it's cheap. I know it's easy. You might have used it. It might be the set you were given for your wedding. I get it. Okay. But it could be like killing you. Okay. So please look into another option if that's what you have. Look into cast iron and stainless steel. Those are fantastic to use. A good friend of mine, she's an amazing cook. She mentions also with cast iron, be sure you don't cook acidic things in cast iron. It's better to cook the acidic and think like tomatoes in stainless steel. It's better in there versus the cast iron. So there's just an extra little tip. Crock pots are awesome. Pressure cookers, fantastic. Okay, and they've improved so much. There's digital options. They're amazing now. I use my pressure cooker for everything. It gets used all the time. Water filters. Invest in a water filter. There's various price ranges on water filters, but get one. The ones we have listed right here are Berkey, AquaTrue, and Zero Water. We've all had personal experience with these. They're good brands. Again, just find one that's in your price range and get it. A convection toaster oven. Guys, replace your microwave. If you haven't already kicked it to the curb, you need to, okay? Microwave changes the molecular structure of your food, okay? And when it does that, and it even changes the molecular structure of water, okay? So if you're just heating water up in the microwave, there's been plenty of experiments done on how that water does not actually help plants to grow, or it'll kill a plant if you put microwave water on it. You could try it yourself if you want to, and you don't like a plant. But I'm just saying, okay, think about what, and you're like a plant with emotions and stuff. So just think about what is that doing to you, okay? So ditch the microwave, but I know you want something to heat things up quickly. So look into a convection toaster oven, an air fryer. Those are great. A dehydrator too. Now that's not really for cooking, like heating things up, but you can find some that are like all in one. Okay, I have listed right here. Mine is called a Kosher. I love it. Yes, it is all of those. Plus, it's a rotisserie. I can't remember what else it does. It ferments food too. I can make. Yeah, it's amazing. And to me, I'm like, if it's going to take up my counter space, it needs to be able to do all kinds of functions. So look for something like that. Stainless steel or stoneware baking sheets and muffin pans. Okay, those are fantastic. Again, don't get a nonstick pan. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's a cooking pan or if it's a baking sheet. Don't get it. If that's what you have and you're like, Keely, this is gonna get expensive real quick. I get that. I'm not telling you to throw all these things to the curb right away. Do with what you can. What could you do in the meantime? Use parchment paper. Use a silicone mat on your baking sheet. That's going to protect you from getting a lot of those different chemicals. Okay. Do not use propellant nonstick sprays. Propellant is a nasty chemical. You can make your own nonstick spray with just olive oil in a what's it called? Just like a mister. Okay. You can do that.
You can buy a mister on
and
Amazon.
put whatever oil you want in there.
And it's cheaper actually.
It is. Absolutely. You can do that, or just use, I love parchment paper. Autumn's like, I love parchment paper too. It's awesome. Makes a big difference. Again, the cast iron, glass, or ceramic baking dishes. Those are all great. Have a blender. Make some smoothies with it. Blend up soups. I love an electric kettle. I mean, you can boil water on the stove, guys, and that's perfectly okay. I love having an electric kettle for hot teas or making oatmeal or just things like that. Also do the same thing with a coffee pot. A spiralizer. People will eat vegetables that are spiralized, often that they won't eat, cut up and cooked and prepared other ways.
Cheating, spiralized.
Yes.
And seared.
Yes.
It takes like 2 seconds to cook too.
It's delicious.
Oh, good.
Yes, spiralized
Gotcha.
zucchini. So zoodles, zucchini noodles. That's an excellent way of amping up your nutrition. And my tip for you with zucchini noodles is don't actually cook it. If you're going to use them as like spaghetti sauce, like with spaghetti, just pour your hot sauce on top of it and it cooks it and it's al dente. It's perfect. It's just like it. So a food processor, you don't have to have it. I actually don't use a food processor a lot, but if you're cooking and preparing in bulk, it's great to have one. A good set of knives. Seriously, you're gonna be chopping up a lot of stuff. Glass and ceramic food storage. This is a biggie. I grew up with plastic storage too, okay? And a lot of times if our food came in a plastic bin, we'd keep it. It was Cool Whip, or if it was margarine or whatever it was, my grandma kept all of those and she'd store everything in it. Ditch the plastic. Oh no, I'm telling on some people in this room. I'm sorry. Guess who else is that? I've done it too, guys. But here's the thing, ditch the plastic, okay?
You know better, you can do better.
That's exactly right. That's our theme here. It's know better, do better, okay? It's not that expensive to invest in some glass or ceramic food storage. Think like Pyrex, okay, for the ceramic. That's what that is.
And you can bake in it too.
Yes, that's it. That's right. You don't have to have a ton of extra stuff. Silicone is fine. If you want to use silicone, it does not give off quite the same amount of chemicals and things of that nature for you. Let's see. I think I'm at the end. I'm at the end. We're ready to go to the kitchen. Let me see. Let me go ahead and stop the share real quick. We're going to take you guys to the, oh yeah, somebody says my grandma did this too. I think so. That's a Southern thing. We're recycling, right? That's what we're thinking. Hey, I'm recycling that Cool Whip. Agreed. Okay, Autumn, I'm going to mute myself and she's going to turn on her phone. We're going to go to the kitchen real quick.
Go in the kitchen. Is that better? It'll still feedback a little bit. It's really unflattering angle if I don't pay attention.
So we had a pause. Sorry about that. For those who watched the recording, she is showing us how to make almond milk. So just continue where you left off.
Yeah, so I get my almonds that I soaked, and I'm not gonna blend all of these, but I'm gonna go ahead and add them to my NutriBullet. You want some? Well, these don't probably taste very good. Have no salt on them or seasoning or anything. Okay. So I just put about half of them. If I were doing this at home, I would do probably all of it, and then also you can freeze almond milk, and it does really pretty well. So as a 2-person household, I freeze it and then I'll add it into like soups and things like that. So I'm gonna add the water. Hopefully we have enough filter water.
Hopefully. There actually is probably still some in the other bucket, so we can get it.
Okay. All right, and I'm probably gonna mute y'all for the duration of the blending, but I just have a regular old NutriBullet here. I use it nearly every day, so a high power blender is your friend, especially with this. So I'm just gonna plug it in real quick, and then I'm gonna blend it. So bear with me on that. Yeah, that'll be fine for this. So it could probably honestly be blended a little bit more than that, but for sake of time, that's what I'm going to do, and it'll be fine. I bought these, they're called nut milk bags, but they're organic cotton. And I just bought a 3-pack on Amazon. I've been using them for years, so they work really well. I'm gonna take my almonds here, filter with water. If y'all can see in person that all that foam on top, it's really rich. And this is gonna make us kind of a concentrate, if you will. I typically add more almond matter than what recipes I've seen typically call for, but I make more of a concentrate, and then I add water to the milk I squeeze out to get it the consistency that I like. But it really stretches really far, and also if you're comparing the nut content to that of store-bought milks, it's gonna be a big difference. So anyway, I'm gonna squeeze out this. You can also just use like a tea towel or something like that, or a strainer if you don't have anything like that. Ooh. It can get a little messy.
Milk in the almonds.
Yes, I'm a hardworking dairy farmer. So So I have the nut pulp left over, that almond pulp left in the bag. There are recipes you can use up that pulp with. If you look on Almond Cow's website, they're a company that makes a machine that does this itself. I do the old-fashioned way, if you will. But Almond Cow has a lot of recipes to use the excess pulp. So you can see right there. Look at that foam. Yeah, it is thick, and that's why I like add water to it. And then
It's thick or thicker than whole milk.
Oh, it's like almond
It's
milk.
not like cream, but
But when you get almond milk at a
it's-
store, it's so
it's sort of
thin.
whole.
That actually looks
well,
out.
and that's with emulsifiers and oil added to it. And this is straight up almonds and water. And of course, I'm gonna, for the sake of our demonstration and our taste testing tonight, if you're not here, you're missing out. I'm gonna add a little vanilla. I don't measure vanilla. It's comes from the soul. Yeah, add a little bit of salt. We'll probably, when I get done adding this in, we'll blend it up again in the blender. But anyway, I'm just showing y'all kind of what I do.
You got any sweeteners ever?
Yeah, a little bit of maple syrup is what I typically do.
Mix it up.
We're probably gonna put it back in there and blend that.
Maple syrup.
Yeah, so it depends on what you want. If you're wanting this to be like a dessert, you can obviously add a little bit more, but I just do, I don't know, like a tablespoon or so. And you can also add cinnamon. My husband loves cinnamon. Get a whisk.
That's a good one. I'm gonna get
Yeah, it's like olive oil or
Cinnamon,
cinnamon or whatever. Yeah,
I'm
she's really good.
excited.
You excited?
you
It
have
also
already
makes-
converted me. I'm doing this tomorrow.
And another thing. Yeah, perfect.
Vitality.
Another milk that's really easy to make at home is oat milk. Now you only want to blend it for 30 seconds, like no more, or it gets slimy and weird. And it's still gonna be a little bit, like the oat flavor really comes through. This is, it's a great one for baking or things like that. You're not gonna wanna like cook savory dishes with it because oatmeal, kind of congeals, and so you don't want that, but I'm gonna add,
Whole oats? Whole oats or
Yeah.
steel?
I just use whatever I have
Okay.
and blend it with water. You can look up a ratio.
Okay.
And then that's super easy. Super easy.
Nice. Oh, exciting.
Yeah.
Then there's rice milk. Have you ever done that?
I haven't. Again, I'm sure there are resources of people who have done that.
Right.
And then also, this makes amazing chocolate milk. I'll just add a little bit of cocoa powder to it. It's so good.
Oh.
My husband will ask for that. And he's a dairy drinker through and through. So,
I'll take something.
Chocolate.
what kind of what?
Chocolate.
So I will usually buy cacao powder in bulk. That's what I do. Not from this brand, but from, what is it called? Terrasol. They sell a lot of high quality stuff in bulk. So I'll get cacao powder because it has higher nutritional content and it's not processed with
Better than cocoa
alcohol
powder.
or something.
Something like that?
alcohol, whatever. Y'all know. And again, you can kind of thin this out as much as what fits your preference.
Yeah.
And it's still going to be more nut content than anything from the store. So
Way more
if you
nutritious.
want something cold, you might add some ice to yours.
Okay.
But anyway,
Do you ever cook anything with the?
I do, yeah. So I have done it before where I will dehydrate it in the oven on 200 for about 2 hours, and then ground it up. And it's drier than any almond flour you're gonna buy at the store, but it still works in my opinion. I'll blend it in the food processor to make it like a powder.
Right.
Um, Or I make some amazing cupcakes with this stuff too, that I get from Almond Cow's website, because they're always posting recipes you can use with the pulp that's left over.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, that's the website she's talking about.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and taste now, or you want to do your thing and then we taste after, or how do you want to do that?
Adelaine's like, let's get
Adelaine's ready. Let's go.
Yeah, here. So we need probably a ladle of that.
Yeah, something, or even a spoon or something.
Oh, I know. Look, I've got a. What's this?
You want that kind of, that might not quite do it.
That's not
So we
We
want.
kind of real free. Or let's just use.
Yeah, that works
Measuring
perfect. A little measuring cup. Now that I've built this up, I hope it's good.
I know. I like it.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I'm sure.
It's disgusting.
That's all what went in it.
Okay, there you go, man. You can taste test, see what you think. See if we need some more sweetener or whatever. Okay.
Really good?
Okay.
Nice. I'm excited.
And it's super easy. And like I said, if you can
Yeah.
freeze it,
Mhm.
it's so helpful.
Yeah. Oh, that would be awesome. Just have it frozen ready, just like bone broth. You know, that's
Exactly.
what I do with bone broth. I always have it frozen ready to go.
Just give me one scoop.
Okay.
Okay.
It just has, and it's gonna have, like I said, a lot more nutritional value. No emulsifiers, no weird oils. You can control every
Sweet,
step
but
of the
not too
way.
sweet. I mean, because I don't like things that are too sweet, so it's just the right amount of sweetness.
Yeah, and like I said, it's completely customizable. You can add, with the vitality oils, you can add any flavorings you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's good stuff.
Absolutely. So is it a thumbs up, ladies? Thumbs up? Yeah,
Cheers.
two thumbs up.
Cheers.
Awesome.
I dropped the
Yay.
scoop.
Well, that's okay.
Easy. I have
Yeah, it
never made it because it sounded like a horribly long
It
process.
sounds like it, but it's not. I mean,
I thought
and-
people always had to soak it overnight or several days or. I
well,
don't know.
even I've also done before, because I'm terrible at planning ahead. I will, you can boil your nuts in water on the stove
Yeah.
for like, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes, and then drain them and then do what I just did. And it's a fast soak method. It doesn't work as well with almonds. It works really well with cashews.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Wow.
You got a half a gallon out of that, didn't you?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably
Just
so.
about
And that's
Yeah.
like
That many.
half a cup of almonds.
And it
Oh,
has none of that nasty carrageenan and all those
No.
weird things they put in the
Yeah.
almond milks, the fruit almond milks from the store.
I'm gonna turn this way. Hey guys, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all how to make start your bone broth. So I've got a whole chicken right here, free range whole chicken. This is from Aldi's. Again, it's one of the best prices I can find. If you've got Aldi's near you, it's fantastic. It's $11 though for this one, but again, remember how much you're getting out of one chicken, okay? For my family of 4, can be probably 3 to 4 meals worth. Okay, just depending on what I'm making and how I'm using it. But I'm also, when I'm doing this, I'm also making bone broth out of it. So that's one other ingredient that I am not.
high quality bone broth is
yeah.
not cheap.
No, it's not. And it's much better if you, again, just like the almond milk, it's much better if you make it on your own. And I will say that chickens used to gross me out. But handling a chicken used to gross me out. I'm not actually cutting this chicken up though. And I just, when you're needing the good food, you just get over it. You're just willing to do whatever.
You do.
But the
He
thing
has
that
a
you have,
booty.
Avonlea, thanks for preserving that for us. So the thing you have to do with, please no sound effects, you're good. So the thing that you have to do with, and I didn't show you all the gross part, but you have to make sure you get out, because a lot of times they'll include the giblets and the chicken neck and things like that on the inside. So be sure you check the cavity and then you just, I mean, it fell right out. I didn't have to go digging around for it. But there is like a plastic, I don't know what to call that, but it's basically something that soaks up any excess juices. You need to be sure you get that off. So I'm kind of rinsing it off because it had a little bit of that, that packaging still left on it. So I make sure I got that off. So I've got my whole chicken. So here's my whole chicken. Oh, see if I can turn this direction.
Yeah.
So
There's
here's
the whole
chicken.
chicken.
There's my whole chicken, okay? I'll tell you what, if you'll grab the camera, you can actually just bring the camera over here.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
This was not there. There we go.
Okay.
There you go. All right, so here's my whole chicken. And so I'm just get it drained a little bit. I'm fixing to go ahead and put it over here in my, you make it this far? Not quite. It's okay. So I have a trivet, because I'm going to use my Instapot. I've got a trivet right here, and this is important to use this part when you're making your chicken in here to make it a lot easier to get it out. Okay, so it's down in there. It's basically a platform for the chicken. And I'm just going to put it down on the trivet, and there it is in my bowl. Okay, it's ready to go. Well, not completely, but there's the chicken right there. Gonna make it super easy to lift out when it's ready. See, there we go. So what I've already got right here that you can see, I've got all my ingredients that I'm gonna put. Guys, you can put whatever veggies that you want, but I've always got at least a whole onion. I've usually got about, depending on the size of carrot, I've got 2 to 3 carrots. And I usually take about 2 or 3 celery. And my little assistant helped me with this. So we've got all different kinds of sizes, and that's okay. Normally I just kind of chop up to where it'll fit, just something like that. Do you have to peel it? No. Just make sure your carrot's clean, you're good to go. So I've got all my ingredients right here. And I'm just gonna put them over the chicken. Again, this still, I mean, I already had this prep, but it didn't take me very long at all, guys. It doesn't take long at all. If you've got some veggies from your garden, if you've got some fresh herbs you want to throw in there, do it. I know people that actually save the scraps from when they're shredding or preparing their food. They'll actually take the leftover ends of the vegetables and stuff, and they'll use that to throw in and cook. I mean, it's got nutrition in it, so throw it in, okay? So I've got that all on top. I personally don't actually put any seasonings in it, okay? Because I'm going to make a bone broth from it, and I don't even add salt or anything. The only thing I would change if this wasn't in an Instapot, if I was cooking it on my stove, which you could totally do that if you don't have a pressure cooker, I would add a little bit of apple cider vinegar in it because apple cider vinegar helps draw out more of the nutrients from the bones. But I don't have to do that in a pressure cooker. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but a pressure cooker is so effective and efficient at getting all the good out of the meat and out of the veggies. So all I have to do now is basically add a cup of water. That's all I do to cook the chicken.
1 cup? That's it?
Yeah, I only add 1 cup of water. I'm almost out of
Wow.
water.
Amazing.
I took it from my almond milk.
I'll add a couple more. So I'm gonna add a little more than that. But here's the reason I don't add more than that. In a pressure cooker, you need usually about a full cup of water or some form of liquid in it to actually get the steam and everything going. So I've got roughly a cup of water. And all I'm gonna do, be sure it's plugged in on. You can see I don't have a lot of counter space. And so since I don't have a lot of counter space, I make sure that whatever appliances I have out on the counter are the ones I'm using, okay? There it is. Sorry about that. Here we go. It's plugged in. So this is all digital. And so I just make sure with your pressure cooker, you gotta make sure your seal is good. If this is sealed on perfectly well, you turn it from venting to sealing, okay? When you're using the pressure cooker, you want it sealed. When you turn to venting, is what you're doing, just like a slow cooker, basically. So I've got it on seal. I'm gonna go in there. It lets me know it's sealed and ready. And all I'm gonna do on the pressure is I'm gonna do, actually, I go right around 40 minutes, 40 to about, I'm gonna go 45. But 45 minutes to cook is enough for a whole chicken. Now, depending on the weight of your chicken, there may be some that, I mean, but really 45 is more than is needed for most. It's beeping and telling me it's on, it's sealing. Now, it'll take a while to get up to pressure, but in 40, it's actually gonna take probably an hour between that 45 minutes and getting up to pressure. But in that much time, I've got an amazing fall apart chicken, okay? And so after I've got the fall apart chicken, you saw how I lifted it out on the trivet, I'll take it out, I'll put it in like a casserole dish and fish out all the different veggies and stuff like that, and I'll set that to the side and let that cool off. And it takes a little while to cool off. After it's done cooling off, I will debone it. I'll take all the meat off of it and I'll put that in a separate place and I'll save it for awesome soup or casserole or chicken taco meat. It's so good that way. And I'll take that and save the meat aside. I'll take all the bones, all the fat, and I'm gonna throw it right back in the pot. All the skin, even all those veggies again. I'll just throw them back in. I put them all back in here. And I will add more water. This is when I add a lot of water. And it's really however much you want to make.
I typically fill it up to the max of what it
Well,
says on
why
the
not?
pot.
Yeah, I haven't done that before, but I mean, why not? I mean, you might as well to get all the good out of those bones. And what I do after that is I actually max out the amount of time on the pressure cooker, which is I think 120 minutes on here. I let it go as long as it can with all those bones and good stuff in there. It gets all those final nutrition, and I basically just strain it after that. I personally don't strain off the fat. The fat's where a lot of the good nutrients and vitamins are in there. The flavors in the fat too. So I leave the fat in there. After it's cooled off and frozen, if you want to skim off the fat, you can do that. Or you could just take off a little bit and leave it separate, okay? But
Another thing I do is with my organic onions and garlic, I'll save all the skins
Yeah.
in a bag in the freezer and throw them in.
perfect. And I didn't even throw garlic in. A lot of times I'll throw in like several garlic cloves in there too, guys. But those three are my staples. Those are my staples that go in every single chicken that I cook. It doesn't matter. And so again, I season the meat later on for whatever meal I'm cooking, and I'll season the broth for whatever I'm cooking. I'll add it into something like that. So that's that easy. Once it's all cooled off, I'll take it and I will put it either in BPA-free Ziploc bags, is what I've been using, but I'm actually wanting to get some silicone molds where I can actually measure up like a cup at a time. So I know how much, we have a little block of broth that I can know if my recipe calls for 1 cup, I'll just throw in the ice cube. Isn't that awesome? Or I can thaw out just a single serving. If I want to just drink it myself, then I'll thaw out a single serving. It's that easy, okay? So I'm gonna jump in with it. If you were cooking this on the stove top, you would want to cook it probably a minimum of 12 hours for your bone broth, or I would go 24. I've actually cooked it for a full day, left it on low all night long, simmering to get all the good out of it. Okay, so you don't have to, again, use what you've got and make it work, okay? Is there any questions on there? I'll come over there and, okay. Yeah, I'll come back over there. Yay! Awesome. Hey, well, thanks for coming to our cooking show. You have a question, Avonlea? What's your question?
I'm going to try the bone back.
Not tonight, because it won't be done in enough time. Ansley asked, how long would you cook broth in the Instant Pot? I max it out, Ansley. I go the most time that it will do. So when I make a bone broth, in my particular model, it's 120 minutes. So I go as high as it'll go and cook it that long with the bones back in. Again, I only cook it to get, right now, I'm just cooking it to get the chicken cooked, take it out, remove the meat, and then throw all the other good ingredients back in to make the bone broth. It's a 2-in-1, 3-in-1. I mean, you get all kinds of goodies out
2
of it.
pages
Yeah.
of notes. So
Whoa!
that's
Abby,
impressive.
okay, awesome. Abby says she got 2 pages of notes.
Hi, Abby.
Awesome.
Tell her Karen to say
Yeah,
hi.
yeah. Well, come over here. You can say hi to her.
Oh,
Yeah, she's like, no.
I've been walking laps tonight. Look beautiful.
Oh, goodness. Okay. All right. Ansley says, great. William does this, but I'm excited to learn how to do it myself. Yay. Yes, it's super easy. I mean, that's why we wanted to make sure that you guys can see just how easy it is to start making healthy meals. It's not hard to do. And it makes a huge difference. I mean, like everything that Autumn and I just showed you tonight can make multiple different meals and different,
yeah.
it's a
It's great to have something like this on hand, even if you are a dairy drinker, to have something in the freezer that you can throw in if you tolerate nuts. So.
absolutely. Yeah, I agree for
You do
sure.
have to shake it up though, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that makes sense. Avonlea, your hair is on the picture. Okay, Avonlea, just say hello and say good night to everybody. This is our little helper, Avonlea.
Good night.
I had to get a picture of her doing that.
Yay. Well, thank y'all for being here. Tammy says I would have to make this on the stove or in an old fashioned pressure
You can
cooker.
for sure do it on the stove. I've done that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a crock pot. I've made
Mhm.
bone broth in a crock pot 24 hours.
Yes, that's a really safe way to do
If
it.
y'all wanna get an Instapot, Black Friday sales, that's where you
Friday
get
from
them cheap.
Instant Pot.
There you go, guys. Black
Yeah.
Friday's when you get Instapot.
Yep.
Cheapest way to get it. Yes, it is.
All the time.
All right, so I'm gonna stop the recording. If there's any questions, we'll talk to you guys in just a second. Thank y'all for being here. We'll see you next week.